Nie wiem dlaczego. Zupełnie. Mm. Z tego co kojarzę, zapis będzie tam, gdzie odpocząłem, więc dobrze, że to zrobiłem. No to jednak trochę inaczej się podzielą części. To teraz zrobimy ostatnią część, tamta będzie do tamtego momentu. I ostatnia część zrobimy ten. Ostatnią część zrobimy właśnie użycę, raport i może znajdziemy rudzielca. No, tak myślałem, że tutaj zapisało. To jest po odpoczynku czy przed odpoczynkiem? Po odpoczynku. Tylko dźwięku z jakiegoś powodu nie mam. Moment. Mam pomysł, co z tym zrobić. Co z tym zrobić? Dobra, tu mam dźwięk, a w grze nie mam dźwięku. Dobra, już mam dźwięk. Konik, chodź tu. Jeszcze przejrzę to interesujące miejsce w takim razie. Bardzo możliwe, że to wykopało przez tego buga z drzwiami. Tak się zastanawiam, czy tak nie było. W ogóle, na ile mnie słyszeliście? Do kiedy? Czy było słychać jeszcze? Tylko wywaliło obraz jak ten? Jak mnie wykopało, czy nie? A, skrytka. Wyciążyłem się 2 butelkami wódki. Cóż za... Dobra, te książki wrzucę na koniec. O, skórę jelenia też na razie mogę wrzucić. Ważne, że ją mam. To jeszcze nie skończyłem tego czytać. Bitewnik, przy okazji naprawę zrobię. To szkoda. No nic, najwyżej będzie, wiesz, na filmie będzie na chwilę czarny obraz. Rąbnęło mi obydwa monitory, więc nic nie mogłem zrobić. Się wyłączyły obydwa. Nie wiem dlaczego. Czy to monitory, czy to karta graficzna, czy co. Nie wali jakimś bardzo ciepłym powietrzem, więc myślę, że jeszcze nie jest przegrzana. Chociaż może trochę. Dobra, jesteśmy w Łużycach. Muszę spotkać jakiegoś mieszkańca. Jest Dobra, nie będę z nim gadał jeszcze raz, bo ostatnio mi grę wykopała. To też jest jako interesujące miejsce? Nie, ale jest jako gniazdo. Tylko gdzie to gniazdo jest? Tu jest gniazdo. Gniazdo zawsze warto strącić, bo czasami są tam naprawdę drogie rzeczy. To strasznie mnie razi w oczy. W tym akurat był 1 grosz. Cześć, nikogo nie ma. O, są jacyś ludzie, dobra.
Hey? Someone there? Good day to you. What do you need?
I'm looking for a fellow who lives here, but I don't know his name. Do you know anyone with a limp?
That'll be Lubosh.
Gallows bait if I ever saw one. His place is at the end of the village, next to the stream. Take him and welcome.
May the Lord watch over you.
Dobra.
What's going on there? Hey, who's there?
W sumie, to z tego co kojarzę, to Henryka by się przydało umyć w bali. Bo ja chyba nie wyglądam najlepiej. Oczywiście, że tak. W ogóle do łaźni mógłbym pójść. Dobra, idziemy do chaty Lubosza. I mamy tu małe zbiegowisko. Zostawię was z tą pokazówką.
Move along, citizens. Move along. There's nothing to see here.
If that's what you call nothing to see, I'd like to know what something to see looks like.
By the keys of St. Peter, this is all I need. We'll have to send word to Sir Hanush.
That might not be necessary.
Who are you?
I'm Henry of Skalitz, in the service of Hanush's Captain Bernard. I'm investigating the attack at Neuhof, and I think this could be related.
Well, I'm the bailiff of Auschwitz. And I say we don't want any of that kind of trouble around here. What makes you think this has anything to do with Neuhof?
One of the folk at the stud farm recognized someone from Auschwitz among the bandits.
We have no bandits or murderers around here.
Really? They say he had a limp?
Shit. Well, allow me to introduce you to Limpy Lubosh. Or all that's left of him.
Sacre. Nothing's ever easy. I'll have to take a look around and ask a few more questions, if that's all right with you.
You can take this mess off my hands and welcome to it. As for what else there is to find out, I don't know. But look and ask all you like.
No, to tak zakończył kulawy.
Who was Limpy Lubosh?
A poor crofter and a scoundrel. Can't say I'm too surprised what happened to him. He kept company with all sorts of vermin. He was always getting into some kind of trouble. Punch-ups in the tavern and what have you.
How come he limped?
He got that from some villainy or brawl a long time ago.
Has he been up to anything suspicious lately?
I don't know. The last few days he didn't go anywhere. He was home the whole time. But he always kept everyone in the village at arm's length.
Did he have any kith or kin in the village?
None. A loner he was. I don't know the last time I saw him with anyone.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away or holed up at home.
When did you find the body? And did anyone see anything?
Just now. And nobody saw or heard anything. I don't know how they could gut him like that without someone hearing him scream.
The parish priest here in Ujits, he's a peculiar sort of cleric. I noticed he's quite handy with a sword.
He is indeed. He's as hard as nails. More than once he's intervened in a brawl in the tavern and sat everyone on their asses. He's not to be taken lightly.
I doubt he acquired those skills at the seminary.
You know how it goes. The nobles send their youngest sons to study for the priesthood, and our parish priest has blue blood in him. He probably learnt to fight at home before he went to university. That's how it goes with those aristocrats. But I heard something happened and he was roving the world for a while. I don't know what he got up to, though.
Coś
Another
więcej o
thing
Luboszu
about
jeszcze
Lubos.
można? No, dobra. Dobra, trzeba będzie pogadać z kilkoma ludźmi. Na przykład z tym.
Good day to you.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Of course, ask away.
That man Lubos who was murdered, what was he like?
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight. Nobody liked him much, but I wouldn't wish an end like that on any man.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while. No idea where he was skulking.
Do you know what Lubos was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
Not a clue.
Do you know anyone Lubos used to spend time with, relatives or friends?
He was a loner. He didn't even have any mates in the tavern.
That's all. Thank you.
Take care now.
Dobra.
I hope I can be of help to you, Knight.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know nothing about it, but ask all you want.
That man Lubos who was murdered, what was he like?
I didn't really know him. He kept to himself, even in the tavern.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Oh, come to think of it, he was in church yesterday. He was even talking to the priest and went to confession. I was wondering what he was up to take to the faith all of a sudden. But I suppose no sin's too dark for God's mercy.
Dobra,
That's
czyli
all.
mamy co
Thank
chciałem.
God be with you.
Teraz tak, to mi pewnie za pierwszym razem nie wyjdzie. Szczególnie, że proboszcz po ostatniej rzeczy mnie za bardzo nie lubi. Ale tak do niego pojedziemy. Chyba tędy było do proboszcza. Już te są nawet spore. Dobra, jest kościół. Jest i proboszcz. No już.
Good health to you.
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubos? What was he like?
A bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you notice anything suspicious recently?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like Lubos don't know what to do about it, and sometimes they do stupid things.
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubos was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
Hmm. No dobra, tu jest 7 plus 4, więc spróbujemy tego.
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, the consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosh was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Okej, dobra, myślę, że zrobimy to po prostu. Cały ten.
Have you thought of a way?
Let's leave it for the evening. May the Lord watch over you.
Myślę, że tym się zajmiemy i to będzie ten odcinek, bo to jest dość długi quest. I fajny, naprawdę fajny. No, przy okazji, jak już tu jestem, to mogę zagrać w kości raz. Z Kazikiem na przykład.
I've got a bit of coin today. What better way to use it than a game of dice?
W sumie dawno nie grałem. Tej kostki nie bierzemy.
Why, oh why did I ever agree to this? I'll lose my shirt again.
O proszę. Dobra, będzie 750 punktów. To zapiszemy. I tak muszę na księdza poczekać. Oż ty bydlaku. To ładnie rzucił.
That's all.
Nie? No, wiesz co, robię tego questa całego.
O, moja ulubiona gra. Mogę raz zagrać?
Chcecie, żeby Ola zagrała raz w kości?
Słuchaj, ja ci powiem, że twój stream by był dużo ciekawszy, jakbyś dawał mi pograć raz w tygodniu. To transmitował.
Dobrze.
This'll be the one.
To założymy ci konto w wocie.
Nie w wocie.
W to chcesz pograć?
Jakie
Możemy
wocie?
tak zrobić.
Finished.
Dobra. Mam przewagę w dalszym ciągu. O, 3 jedyneczki wpadły. Cudnie. Złoto.
Uważaj, bo przegrasz.
Nie przegram już.
Przegrasz.
Nie przegram.
On ma 1100.
That's it.
1350.
Mam 2,5 koła.
What the hell's with these damn dice?
Zdjął te rękawice, to do mnie tak grać.
No widzisz, tak
Dice
wychodzi.
is made to be thrown.
O Boże,
not
nie
to
tak
sit
kliknąłem.
on the table ignored. We'll see.
Chciałem przerzucić, a kliknąłem ten zakończenie tury.
This'll be the one. Now I'm for the chop.
Here.
O. A, to nie są 3 czwórki, to są... Dobra. 4 piątki zapisujemy. Zostało 450 punktów do zrobienia. No chyba nie będzie przerzucał jednej kostki.
Just as long as it keeps going like this.
Dobra, po tej grze powinien ksiądz tu przyjść.
That's it.
Tak, to będzie ta imprezka z księcem. Zobaczysz.
Fajnie. Znowu dostaniesz krew.
Cii.
That's all.
Nie zdradzaj ludziom, co się będzie działo. Dobra, jest 400. Kurde, 50 punktów mi brakuje. Ja to przerzucę. Te 50 punktów, 1 piątka mi wystarczy. I dupa.
We'll see.
Znowu kostką przerzuca? I przerzucił. Ej!
Great. Just
Ej! Ej!
And good health.
To było oszustwo! Dobra, ale jest już ksiądz, więc spoko, idziemy z księdzem. Cheater! No 2500 punktów jednym rzutem zrobił. Dobra.
The blessings of our Lord be...
And with you, lad. Take a seat.
No okej, to robimy tego questa.
One L over here, please.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh. I'm sorry. What about your kin?
Już za późno.
They're dead.
Zobaczcie, pan rozmawia z księdzem.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the
I'll
castle.
bring it right away.
My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side.
Here.
I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovno. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch Bernard.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Ujitz, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Noyal? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. I noticed you're pretty handy with a sword. I wouldn't expect that of a man of the cloth.
You know what they say. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
But this is a bit more mysterious than others.
Let's just say I haven't always been a priest. Fate led me to places where affairs were settled by force. These days, of course, it's just a bit of exercise to keep me in shape.
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubosh told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Uzic is in Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor.
Coming.
Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Dobra, taka notka historyczna. Jan Hus był pierwszym reformatorem, on był przed Luterem jeszcze. Tak naprawdę i no, niestety źle się to dla niego skończyło, ale Luter właśnie z niego przykład brał.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
Przepraszam, zakrztusiłem się.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe?
A i mogą. I nawet to zrobili.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
Here, enjoy it.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
No dobra, jedziemy.
That sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj panuje sej smutek, do mnie loi rano utek, niech ich małżeński majstrat, do wczera żylne staje brak. Už sej moji svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejmě i kůži, nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požadem si umí jako poslední den. Půjde se vámi, ano rána stávy a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem, tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu soudnej den, tak nalej mi hned a točí se svět.
Enough of this!
Bailiff! Come over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can ride is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
Jaki zmarnowany.
Fucking hell.
Kurde, znowu był turniej w Ratajach. I znowu przegapiłem. Dobra, jeden leży. Dobra, drugi leży. I biegniemy wójta jeszcze załatwić. Trochę się naraziłem.
So, my dear, would you like to have a little ring on the bell? No sooner said than done.
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure. Right, Henry?
Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dears. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon.
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath.
And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
No, to imprezka z księdzem już się skończyła.
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Nie na takich imprezach się bywało.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell. Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look. From what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
No i trzeba będzie mszę poprowadzić.
can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about Lubos.
Christ almighty. Fine then. We have a deal.
Wonderful. Let's get to it then.
Dobra. Aha. Załóżmy jakieś ciuchy, żeby jako tako wyglądać. Nie, przyłbicy nie zakładajmy. Ostrogi jak najbardziej. Srebrny pierścień tak zmienia ekspozycję? Kolczugę załóżmy. Boże, w jakim ja jestem słabym stanie. Dobra, ja chciałem się zapytać, gdzie jest reszta mojego oręża. Przyłbicy to wiem, że nie, ale gdzie jest ten? Naszyjnika nie miałem. Ale kaptur to jak najbardziej, kurwa, gdzie są moje rzeczy? No jeszcze mnie kwa okradli. No trudno. Rozwinę jeszcze perki tylko. W piciu na przykład. Będziesz mógł wypić więcej piwa, bo zadziała połowa, ale za to wino zadziała dokładnie silniej, więc będziesz szybciej się nim pijesz. Po wpływem alkoholu twoja ręka trzęsie się o 25% mniej, strzelanie z łuku zerca o 2 punkty, ale gdy wytrzeźwiejesz, twoja ręka będzie o 25% bardziej się trzęsła. No właśnie, kurczę, też się zastanawiam. Ale scenka dobra z księdzem, co? Dobra, nie daje nic w picie na razie. Chociaż Hendryk jest na kaco. Ale nie, no naprawdę, straciłem kaptur. Na pewno. Na pewno mi kaptur wcięło. I czepiec szlachecki. Więc no nie jestem zadowolony, kurczę, tym rezultatem. Jak to spadek reputacji? Przepraszam bardzo, o co chodzi?
I thought he'd never show up. The swill pup.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wait.
Look at him. Mother of God, any minute now he'd throw up.
I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hac facite in meam commemorationem. Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where by the grace of God was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
No dobra, here we go. Dobra, zacznij pewnie.
Brothers and sisters, let me get straight to the point. I'd like to talk about the church and how corrupt it is.
That boy has a cheek.
One should not believe in the church, because the church is not God. God is above all things, and the church is but a means to salvation, which the prelates do not care to hear.
He's right.
It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, cumens, hunger, and chaos. The accursed wealth that the church is drowning in is poisoning almost the whole of Christendom. When dogs are fighting over a bone, take the bone and they will stop. Just like the flock of ravens that has descended on this land to peck up every speck of gold and silver. They show no mercy. Their hearts are poisoned by covetousness. They trade everything. Everything is for sale. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay, and you will have absolution. And the prelates sin and give themselves absolution.
For shame! Shame upon them!
It is the custom of the gluttonous prelates and monks to preach against sin. But what do they know of us ordinary folk? Let us remember the marriage at Cana, where our Lord Jesus Christ himself feasted with the other guests and drank his fill. And when the wine was gone, he performed a miracle and created more. He, whose companions were poor travellers, simple folk, prostitutes and troublemakers, performed a miracle so the feast could continue.
Now that's the kind of sermon I like to hear.
No, brothers and sisters, Jesus did not condemn alcohol. Drink to lighten the cross you bear in this vale of tears, but not with such abandon that you cannot keep holy the Sabbath. For there should be moderation in all things, and it is not drinking itself that is sinful, but intemperance and beastly indulgence.
He's right.
Dobra, jedziemy
Enough
dalej.
about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates! Away with them!
We're fortunate to have our good Father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek mammon and the idle comfort of lucrative posts. Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of this earthly pilgrimage, who do not condemn your venial sins.
Aye, all honour to Godwin. Let him drink like one of us.
That is all I heard in Prague. Amen.
Myślę, że wyszło całkiem nieźle. Boguta uratowany, prałaci potępieni. Następny kościół mój.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that Hus.
The young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a
I'm
silver
glad
tongue.
he came here. I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague, and he told it nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So gluttony and fornication.
God does forgive anything.
So, what did Limpy Lubosh tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you?
Well, now Lubosh came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. And I must say, in the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out? Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Lubosh kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Lubosh killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames. Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko. Pius, Timmy.
Pius. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself. These people clearly mean business. And I'd like to raise a tankard with you again sometime.
Yeah, I'll try. Although I'm not sure I'd survive another night of your debauchery.
And if anyone should ask, you heard nothing from me. I'll deny everything.
I don't doubt it.
No dobra, z księdzem się udało. Kazanie zrobione, myślę, że świetnie wyszło. I myślę, że to wystarczy na dzisiaj. Czyli teraz tak, zrobimy znowu plan 3 dni na YouTubie będzie. Te odcinki będą wstawiane po kolei, każdego dnia. I potem po 3 dniach wrócimy na Twitchu do do Kingdom Come'a. Żeby to jakoś tak na bieżąco było. To dzięki za dzisiaj, miłego i pa pa.